Evening all, and welcome back to Factory Town. So I've spent probably an hour or so trying to figure out how to get a system working here of counting carts as they go in and turning off things at a certain number and then counting carts as they go out and getting it working. And this is the logic that I've come up with. I tried to go back and look at a previous video that I did this on and I couldn't find the video. I knew I had it. I did not look on YouTube. I should have probably done that. I was trying to look through my files which aren't named properly. But yeah. So this is what I've come up with, and I shall explain it all, and then we shall set it up here. It's basically set into two parts here. We have this part here, which is for this barn here and the input, and then this part here is the output. The toggles are just to represent the agent triggers, because obviously I don't have agent triggers on the ground because of things there, and I've just put a toggle here to stop any carts coming into here and clear the logic out. Nothing's changed there. So what happens with the logic? Well, carts come in and they hit this agent trigger. This agent trigger starts counting, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and you'll see it turned the lamp off. Once the counter block, because this toggle would be an agent trigger, once it hits 5, the math block is no longer less than 5, because 5 is not less than 5, so it turns off the lamp. The lamp represents the pusher, so it will turn off the pusher. So we get 5 carts come in, and they're great. They'll all be there, they'll all stack up and wait to be picked up things. We have space for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the agent trigger. I kind of want to move that over by 1 more. I think I can. So I think we'll do that. I'm going to move that over by 1. Don't need that agent trigger anymore. We'll move that over and that over. And then the logic should still stay the same. Reset that. There we go. Okay. So it goes in there, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's nothing set on the agent trigger, which is what I like. So that's how it's going to sit there. So carts will go in, and they'll count to 5, and then it'll be turned off. Then at the other end, over there, I've changed the rail slightly because I was testing this as I was going. The carts will come in, empty their goods, and on their way out, they will trigger another agent trigger, represented by this. And it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when it hits 5, you notice it resets the whole system and turns the lamp back on, which would represent turning the pusher back on here. So how does this part work? Well, the counter block is exactly the same. It counts up. Once it gets to 5, it will trigger this math block here. This math block is going to a set block and a signal gate. Now, what these do, if I trigger that once, a set block sets a further block without pushing the signal on. So if you tell it to set something to 0, it will set it to 0, but won't push any further information down the line. So you won't trigger off any other logic along the line, you won't change anything there. In this case, this set block is just saying, hey, if this is true, open this gate. If it's false, close this gate. A gate, when it's open, will send a signal through. When it's closed, will not. So if it's under 4, or if it's greater than 4, then it's true. So it goes at 1, 2, 3, and 4, it goes false, 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 false. Then at 5, it goes true. This opens. The math block is not only linked to the logic set block, it's also linked to the signal gate. So its signal goes through to the pusher. A pusher block pushes forward information from a block without changing it. Now, as you know, number blocks, if you interact with them, like there, they go up. They go up by 1 every time you interact with them. A pusher can push forward what's on a number block without changing it. So it's pushing forward this 0. It's pushing the 0 to another set block, and as we said there, a set block changes other blocks without pushing any more information. So it's setting 0 to these 2 counter blocks. So it's just going, hey, this counter block and this counter block, which will be 1 here and 1 up over there, reset you both to 0, so you become zeros. Well, it's also, the number block is also going to a timer to trigger a timer. 1 second later, the timer triggers a math block. The math block obviously checks its inputs, which is going to be this counter block here, which will now be set to 0. And it will go, well, hey, I am less than 5. This is true. So turn on my lamp, or in this case, turn on the pusher. That's how that works. That's how that whole system goes, if that makes sense. I'm going to rebuild it step by step in different locations, so hopefully you can follow along and understand it. And if you get confused at any point for it, just say so in the comments. Say what's going on with it, and say if you don't quite get where the logic's going. So let's rebuild it, shall we? So instead of a toggle, we're using an agent trigger. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat there. Right, so yes. So instead of a toggle, we're using an agent trigger. So an agent trigger is exactly the same thing, just the toggle there was for me, so I could control click it. So we want a counter block. Let's put that down there. We want a math block. We'll put that down there. We don't want a logic lamp because that's just representing the pusher here, which in this case is going to be this ball function, because remember we have a system here to check whether carts are empty. So we don't want to do that yet. And we want a timer as well, because the timer is part of this system here. So agent trigger linked to counter block. Every time it goes over the agent trigger, the counter block will increase by 1. Counter block pushes onto the math block. The math block is going to be set to less than 5. Is that correct? That is correct. So when it's less than 5, so it's 0. So if it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's all true. So it will. Hold on, less than 5 is true. Yeah. So it will say yes, turn on this one here. So I'm accepting carts because I am less than 5. Now I'm gonna. I don't need to pause it here because I've got a toggle here which is just set to false, just to turn this off to make sure no carts come down here whilst we're setting up. But we also want to take the timer block and link that to the math block, just so this timer after 1 second will reset everything, just to make sure it opens that gate, because sometimes it doesn't open there. So that's that segment done. That makes sense? Agent, a cart hits the agent, counts up by 1. If it's less than 5, then it's fine. We want the gate to be open. As soon as it's more than 5, so if it hits 6, it should turn off, I think. Hold on. No, because it's less than 5. So at 5 carts, it's no longer less than 5. So as soon as 5 carts come in here, we will turn off the pusher. We don't want any more carts coming up here. Okay, all good. All good. Right. Now, this is the logic that goes on the other side. So I am going to grab all this logic, and I'm going to copy it and bring it up to our other place here. Just so I have a reference of it. So, what are we doing here? Well, we have our agent trigger and we've got it after our barn because we don't want to count carts coming in, we want to count them going out. So, that's the agent trigger is the toggle, so we don't need that. So we want a counter block. I'm going to put the logic this side of the barn because it's just easier. So, we have a counter block. The agent trigger will go to the counter block and it will count carts that's going out, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We then want a math block there, which is I control click there, so it's set to greater than 4, and it has to be greater than 4 because the other one is less than 5. So at 5 it will become false, and then this one at 5 will become true, which is what we want. So agent trigger to math block, counter block to math block. And then the math block has to go to 2 blocks: the logic set block and the gate. So we go to the set block, and we go to the gate, and we also take the set block and link that to the gate. So every time an agent goes over this, a cart goes over this agent trigger, we're going 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And because we are not greater than 4, that's false, which means this gate will always be closed. As soon as we hit 5 for the 5th cart, it will become true. It will open this gate, and it will allow the math block to send the signal through. Now on the other side of the gate, we have a pusher. I'm just going to move these out of the way, just so we don't confuse the logic there. Yeah, on the other side of the signal gate, we have a pusher. So we link the signal gate to the pusher. Now a pusher pushes logic or pushes numbers without changing them. So we take a number block, not a counter block, number block set to 0, and we push that 0 to another set block, and and the set block is linked to the counter block here and the counter block the other side there. And what that does, I know I'm repeating myself, but hopefully you'll understand what that does is the pusher pushes a 0 forward. The 0 hits the set block and it goes, hey, I've been told to set whatever I'm connected to 0. So I will set that counter block to 0 and I will set that one over there to 0. But also we want to take the number block and link it to the trigger. Timer. I'm taking the number block, not the set block. If you take the set block, you will change the timer's time to 0 and it won't work. So you have to take the number block, which is over there. Now, the number block will not change the timer's time to 0. It will just trigger the timer to go, hey, you've received the signal, do something. And then 1 second later, the timer will trigger this math block just to reset the logic here to make sure the pusher opens. So let the carts through. And that should be that. Okay. So let's get rid of that logic there, because we don't need it anymore. Let's get rid of this logic here. I should probably keep that until the system works, shouldn't I? Just in case something goes wrong, and then I can troubleshoot it. So we'll leave that. We'll leave that for the minute. Okay. So yeah, I'm happy with that. For testing purposes, I'm going to change these numbers to 1. So if it's less than 1, so as soon as 1 cart comes in here, this will turn off. And then this one wants to be, if it's greater than 1, so when you go over 1, oh no, you want to be greater or equal to. I was getting that slightly wrong there. So the numbers can be the same, because otherwise it's going to be if it's greater than 0. And that would not make much sense in our heads, would it? So yeah, greater than or equals to. So we'd have 1 cart going in and filling up, and then 1 cart coming out, and that will reset the whole system. So that's what I want to do. Okay, and that logic should work. Now to test the logic, we need to put fertilizer in here. So we need to bring the fertilizer up. Now we aren't using any Omni pipes here, which is quite useful because I want to use one. And I want to use an above ground, below ground thing, 1. Yeah. So we want Omni pipes. Grab Omni pipe, and we want to go. We want to go to the center, but we don't quite want to go to that. So we're going to go there. And before I unpause the game, I am definitely going to filter these. We only want fertilizer. We don't want anything else. And I should, if I copy that, should be able to hold control and click on each one of these. Then I can do the same here. And that should paste that they're all fertilizer. Fertilizer. Yep, awesome. Right. You're coming out as well. Right, so they all can connect up nicely to there. You can all connect up nicely to there. And then you're going to go there, and you're going to go there. And then we are going to, yep, you're grabbing fertilizer, awesome. We're going to connect an Omni pipe connection there and there. And this is where I really hope, what I hope works, because I haven't actually tested this. We'll remove those trees that are there. We will grab our Omni pipe connectors, and we should see them here. If I do that, that one should be connected to that one. That should be an output. That should be output. Or no, that should be an input. No, that is correct. Yeah, so that should be an input. That should be an input. Okay. Then we can grab Omni pipes I'm going to connect them like that. I don't know. Let's move the mouse down. Do that. Yes. You see, I've dragged them up and they've got the little cylindrical plugs there. That means that I believe that they're going underground. So let's see whether that works. So here comes our fertilizer. And it's disappearing from here. And it's appearing there. And going up into this barn. Awesome. So that does work how I wanted it to. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Right, you should now re-trigger and actually ask for more milk. You are going to ask for more milk. Awesome. We could do a little system with this as well, where we say, hey, if too many carts go down here, we don't want to do that. But let's test it whether it works with this fertilizer system first. So, if I delete this toggle, this should work. Now I could bring these back up and connect them before this, but I'm kind of letting them go. Okay, so there we go. We've got a minecart here, which filled up with fertilizer. This is set to 1, which means our pusher is off. I need another cart to come along. It's got a long journey to go yet, so this should be okay. I just want to absolutely double check that no more carts go down here, and they don't. So we have 1 cart for the fertilizer. There he is. So he should get pushed down there, which he does. Awesome. And then, boom, he'll empty 20 into there, and then he can go on his way, because he's allowed to, because he's now at 0. Boom. He hit the agent trigger. That triggered this whole system to fire. I don't know if you saw the line goes off there, but it triggered the whole system to fire. So what should have happened now, over here, this should all have re-enabled. And there you go, 1 second later, because the timer had to wait a second to trigger. That's the only delay we've got there, and I've done that because if you try and push through whilst things are changing, it doesn't always fire. As in, if we didn't have the number block set to the timer and we had it set to the math block, it might, the math block might then go, well, hey, my inputs are this one here, and that's not, this is still above what I want to do, so I'm false. So you've got to give it a little bit of time to do it. There you go. So there's 1. Boom. There you go. You're full. You're going. Everything is working. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's exactly what we want. That is excellent. Now there is one little caveat that you have to make sure that you're not missing out here. If you want to change how many carts are going in and out of this system, you've got to make sure the system is in a state of reset, if that makes sense. If I was to change the numbers now and say I wanted 5 and 5, it would never work because this is waiting for 1 cart right now, and there is 1 cart, and it would be waiting for 5 carts. And there won't be 5 carts because the system isn't set for 5 carts. There you go. So that triggered. There we go. You could potentially do it by changing this number first, letting the amount of carts end up on the track, and then changing that number over there. But you've got to be careful. Really, you want to do it right now. Right now. So we're going to trigger. This is all turned on. This is all waiting. So this is perfect. If you do want to change it and your train tracks are far more busy than what's going on here, and you're using this function here with the ball gate with the AND function, grab a toggle, make sure it's set to false, and just link it to the AND gate. That will cause this AND gate to always go false and will always turn off your pusher, so no carts can go down there. You'll see it triggers no, so you can never get any other carts in the system. So then you can change the numbers how you want. That's what we're going to do. We're going to set this to 5. We are going to set this to 5. And that will allow 5 minecarts to come down. Now there is one other thing we have to do as well. We have to say, if we've got more than a certain amount of fertilizer, we also don't want the system to open up for us. So we don't want any more carts joining if we have more than a certain amount of fertilizer. So that's quite easy. That's a quite easy thing to add on to it. We need an inventory sensor and we need a math block. And I'm going to grab a delta block as well, because I don't want these lines constantly firing. So the inventory sensor I've set to the barn, and I'm going to also filter it to fertilizer because we might as well. And I'm going to link it to the index. And remember, the ball function at the other end, the other station, is looking for all trues. So we need to be, this needs to be a false. So we want to say it's only true if this is half full. So if we're under 100, then it's true. Then we want more. If we're over 100, it's false. We don't want more. So we're going to say if we are less than 100. Yeah. Then this delta block is going to go all the way over to the other station and link to that ball function there. So if we're less than 100, we're saying true. So that's waiting for all true signals. So we can get rid of that toggle, and that will turn this function back on. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. Some more. 4, 5. There you go. Let's turn it off. Now, the drawback to this system is if you got 4 carts into it and then it waited ages and ages for the 5th cart, the whole system won't reopen until that 5th cart makes its entire journey. So that's not ideal. But there's no way I can say, there's no way we can have this math block read the counter block and the counter block go up and down depending on how many carts come in and out and in and out. That would be where the equals block comes out, but we don't have that. So there we go. So he's off and doing his whole thing. Another cool thing you can do with this, and a concept that I had a long time ago, and I did have a video to it, but it's got no sound, so I won't be publishing that, but was a whole, I had all my empty carts go onto a single line and just park up and wait. And then when the system goes, hey, we need something, the carts went on their way to do something. So they wouldn't just drive around and around in circles every time. Doesn't matter. You can leave that like that. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You can just have them park up and just had them somewhere. I had a system where basically, like, this barn would have a longer line, and it would ask for so many carts, and then a blocker would block it and just go, well, I've got 10 carts waiting now, and then this one's got 10 carts waiting. I never went with that because I discovered that when you add multiple things onto the same line, like here we got fertilizer, milk, and animal feed, if one gets a high demand and your carts are waiting for another one to be filled, then it fails. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't do enough. Okay. So this looks like it all re-triggered and it's fine. So this is all reset and is all re-triggered to 0. And this is all reset and re-triggered to 0. Yep. But we're still not allowing any carts through because we have fertilizer above 100, which is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. As you can see here, our farms and things are doing absolutely fine. We've got some farms here that are really struggling, but that's kind of to be expected because things aren't exactly going according to plan here. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I'm thinking that that's probably a good place to end this episode with all that logic and everything working. But I'm kind of looking at the time and realising that would make this a short episode, which is really, really rare for me. I normally do stupid longer episodes than I actually plan to. But I don't really want to get into anything new before this late in an episode, because we're 25 minutes in, and if I get something new now, then we'll end up with 45 minutes, which some people might like. I know that. I know some people like the longer episodes. I quite like them. There are many people on YouTube that I watch that. Well, I quite like catching up on VODs of live streams, which are quite long sometimes. So this is a live stream, so I think we'll bring the episode to a close here, and I shall connect up all these farms and conveyor belts off camera, and we'll come back next time and do something different. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope to see you again in the next one, and until then, as always, have fun.